Well, thanks everyone for coming today. My name, if y'all don't know who I am Yvonne Garcia. I'm the owner and director of Hooks-Epstein Galleries. So welcome on this beautiful Saturday. And I'm so glad y'all could come for Anne's conversation with Danielle Fanfair. This is very exciting. And I'll just tell you a little bit about Danielle. She is a writer, teacher, teacher of integrated well-being and self-mastery. And I want to take one of her classes.
I would love that.
Okay.
You should do the Enneagram test.
She's also a participant in round 55 of the Studio Row of Row Houses. So please go and check out her it's words as sculpture?
Words as social
Yeah,
sculpture.
okay, sorry about that.
You good.
And then I will tell you a little bit about Anne. We have been representing her since, my God,
2008. I think that was the first print use.
I know.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah. Thank you, Ava.
She has a Master's of Art in Humanities from U of H Clear Lake, a MFA with a concentration in printmaking from the Academy of Art in San Francisco. She was a founding member of Print Matters. She is also a member of the Rude Collective, and two of her Rude sisters are here, Rebecca and Lovey.
Rude docent.
She has been in several group shows, museum shows, nonprofit art center shows, one of which was my favorite at Longdale, your large scale installation of the boards.
Yeah.
She has also, Robert Boyd wrote a lovely review of her show last week, so I hope you can check that out. But also, she was also in Glassfire's top 5 on March 16th. We're very happy and excited and proud of that, and I just want to say that I'm very proud of the show and what Anne brought us and is showing us and sharing with us. I've been here many a night where I'm just here by myself and I'm really looking at the work and just sitting and just kind of just in my own thoughts with the work. I mean, it's really beautiful. We'll have it, today is closing day, but we will have it in our mini gallery for the next show, for the next several weeks. So if you didn't get a chance to come by this past couple of weeks, you're gonna be able to see it for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So I'm gonna let y'all take it away. And
Thank you,
Thank
Eva.
you so much. And I remember when you announced your first partnership with the Hooks-Epstein Gallery, and it was my first time feeling comfortable in a gallery that was not Black owned. Right? It was my first time feeling that I had space that I could take up because of your opening those doors of my imagination. So thank you so much for.
Shout out to Jerry, rest in peace.
Yes, Jerry.
She was the first in the city to have Black artists.
I looked through that door and I just saw her sitting at the desk, spilling tea.
As Lena says, that's an education.
That's an education.
And the first home gallery in Texas.
Yeah.
The first woman-owned gallery in Texas. Yeah. So I just want to stop and I always like to acknowledge the genius in the everyday, right? And what your work does for me and for many people is open our eyes to the reality that the things that we have seen as regular in our lives are not common just because they're regular to us, right? They are absolutely iconography of the genius and the expansive intelligence that the folks who are connected to these items use, okay? What I want to do is I want to read her artist statement because it's just so beautiful.
Thank you.
So and I also want to name, Anne will not ever call herself like the master of the master of the master printmakers. I will though, never. However, I want to read your statement and then I want you to start thinking about how this particular collection has expanded you and stretched you as a printmaker.
Okay.
So, this is about being seen. Seeing the women in the shadows. In my eyes, the ironing board resembles a badge of honor, a medal for the women in the shadows, a medal of honor that so many Black women and women of color have earned as they had to take care of the families of others before they could take care of their own. It is ironic that the least valued person is the most valuable person to the home. As a physical object, the ironing board is a sacred symbol that represents that back-breaking work women have endured simply for survival. Ironic explores family, community, and most importantly, Black womanhood. And I love that irony in and of itself is this literary device that juxtaposes an object or a symbol that is seemingly conveying one meaning, but is actually a wonderful illustration of the extreme opposite, right? So when things are ironic, it's because it's multifaceted and layered in the meaning that we get from it. So tell me how this work has expanded you and stretched you in your craft.
Okay. The funny thing about having this show here is the last solo show that I had here, Acknowledge, I had one ironing board and Jerry didn't like it.
Oh.
She was like, it's not developed, it's not ready, it's, you know, she wasn't really feeling it. And those first ironing boards that I did were of mammies holding white babies. And so I created this shield, you know, this shield of protection because those are the people who have protected us in our existence right now.
So the ironing board is a shield.
Yes, literally as a shield. And they were kind of designed like boxing posters. They had big words on them and so forth. And then COVID hit. And so during COVID, which was good for artists, as long as we had, you know, were able to pay the bills, COVID was great because we had time. We were doing art talks every week. And I was at home and I was able to develop the process, you know, focus on it a little bit more. But I became really fascinated with that board as the object and creating space and place for those women that we take for granted. Like the way they look, this is my friend Sandy, that's Sandy, but the way that she's looking at us, for one, she's tired. And I'm tired of fooling with y'all, you know? And when you think about, for example, the Civil Rights Movement, all those people were walking, it was those women that walked. You know, the people that you just kind of look over, the people that are sweeping the floors that you don't pay attention to, those are the most important people. So giving them voice, and then there's all different layers and different meanings. If you all, eventually there's a description for each board. Just something about that as a sacred symbol.
Yeah. And then talk to me about the printmaking process and printing on ironing boards.
Okay.
The transfer process.
Okay, so as you all know, I don't print on paper. This is as close as it gets. The majority of these are transfer prints. So like in the case of this one and this one, it's simply using a xylene pen, transferring the image from paper to fabric.
What's a xylene pen?
It's acetone. The pens they wouldn't let you use in high school because you get high off of them. But some of these with the rougher paper, those are transfer prints, so the image is glossed on one side, then I leave it on the board for a day or so, then I rub it off with my hands. The image reveals itself through the paper. And I like leaving parts of the paper because then it looks a little bit more archaic and discovered.
So your DNA is actually on these boards.
Oh yeah, it's some skin, it's all kinds of
Skin cells.
Oh, it's a little bit of everything.
When y'all buy y'all's board, do not let these people get no samples.
And then, my intaglio process, printing on cotton, is hidden in these two. And then at the bottom of Rebecca, this board at the bottom, if you look at the cotton bowls, you'll see faces on those pieces of cotton.
So talk about the intaglio
Intaglio.
process.
Intaglio, it's in the etching family,
Mhm.
which involves a printing plate. I use what's called a solar plate, which transfers the image by light. It's a photosensitive plate.
Mhm.
So I print the image on a transparency, put it on the plate, sit it under light for about 30 seconds, and then put it in water, and then the image attaches itself to the plate.
Is this the process where the image reverses and you have to make sure that it's not
Yes,
reversed?
yes, depending on if, like in the case of my nephew, he has on a sweatshirt that says South, so I have to print it in reverse so that it can transfer correctly.
Y'all see what I'm talking about? Y'all see what I'm talking about? Now me, I would have printed it and been like, it's backwards.
I'll make you do that.
I'm talking about the backwards nature of society. I would have to make it a part of it.
Right, that's what artists do.
Not the mouse, though. The mouse is like, I know what's going to happen.
No, I
Or
got some
see.
Baptist stuff. That's what Baptist stuff. But, and the images, all of these are my images. That's me in the middle there by Yvonne, that's my niece above me, my namesake. Rebecca, Tia from the community, that's my nephew, that's my neighbor. That's me. A lot of people don't recognize me without my glasses. So that's me on here.
And you don't
me
get
in
to
that
see the
board.
curls cascade down. That's
Yeah, those are big night shots.
That's Ann Johnson after dark.
I'm not a master of selfie like some people, but you know, midnight, you just be kind of playing around. The curls come down.
Why is it important for you to include people that you love through your lens in your work?
Well, part of it is accessibility. And I just look for certain looks. Like when I did Converse Real Talk, that was a show I had in Austin. Everybody I printed on a leaf was from Awakenings.
Yeah.
You know,
I made it on
after
the
church,
weekend.
I'm taking pictures. I'm taking pictures. Yeah, so it depends on, you know, I have certain looks. I mean, Rebecca can look fierce. This is the nicest person you could ever meet in life, but she takes a fierce photo, right? So,
She makes what?
Huh?
I didn't hear what you said about her.
Oh, I said she's the nicest person you will ever meet, but she takes a fierce photo.
Oh,
Yeah. And Sandy was kind enough to plait her hair up for me. And so, again, part of it's accessibility, but part of it is I have a certain look that I want to use.
So, this particular collection resonates really powerfully with me. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. My great-great-grandmother was a New Orleans washwoman in 1900. And she ran her own business out of her own home, and her clients were Catholic churches. And the Catholic churches came to her because she had the best pressed linens. She would wash them, she would dry them, she would press them, put them on the steps and get her money in 1900. And so the idea that she raised 3 girls, owned her home outright, was able to give us generational wealth in the form of ownership and the lessons of how to run your own business. And her ironing board was her weapon of choice during that era. That means a lot to me. What do you want us to know as we gaze upon these boards and we understand the significance of and the irony of these boards? What do you want? How do you want us to intellectually expand here?
Well, everybody's going to see and feel things differently. Like you immediately connected with your grandmother, great-grandmother.
Great-great-grandmother, yeah.
When Kevin Powell came in, the writer Kevin Powell, MTV, oh yeah, that's my new best friend. Remember when Kevin came in, he said, I could hear my mother's ironing board when I walked through the door. Yes, you know, I could hear that when I walked through, and it kind of took him somewhere.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna see things that my intention may be different from how you receive it. But as I always say to all my students, look into the work and not at the work. And when you look into it, you're gonna see that this woman has a voice as much as someone who's educated. You might get more knowledge from her than you could ever get in a school book. So appreciate those women. When you're in a building, say hi to the custodian. You know, they're working, those hard-working folks. You know, appreciate those people and their plight, especially the ones that have to take care of other families before they can get to take care of their own. Because a lot of us latchkey kids would have to take care of ourselves while our family was out taking care of somebody else's family.
Very much, very
Yeah.
much. Thank you. Now, I want to turn the question to the folks that we have gathered here. What immediately comes to mind? Anybody, when you see these ironing boards? Yes.
I thought of resourcefulness when I saw the one with the towel.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a towel on my ironing board right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Resourcefulness, so that's just one of many things, but that's why I was drawn to that one. Oh my gosh. that's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I managed to get a lot. I've never bought anything in my life from Facebook Market. And somebody said, you should look at Facebook Market. And I found this antique dealer in Fort Worth and I got these 5 vintage boards. And I was gonna do this to all of them. And then when I cut them, I was like, ooh, these layers are telling some kind of story. I need to leave that alone. When I cut that one, it was so pristine. That woman was like your great-great-grandmother. She was so serious about what she did. And I thought, just like you, I know when I had to iron my brother's shirts. And by the way, I can't stand the iron. I'm a down Rico free kind of girl. But when I cut that and I thought about this woman in particular, how serious she was about that job, making sure she has the flattest. I called my mother the other day, what you doing? I'm ironing sheets.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I'm ironing and starching the sheets. And I thought about her and it just amazed me at how clean that was behind that towel. It was amazing. Starched. Yeah.
So I want to do something real quick. Everybody, take a deep breath in and focus on one of the iron boards. Take a deep breath in. Now take a deep breath out. Continue to gaze on the iron board. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. And just notice what comes up for you as you take a moment to breathe in all that these boards are saying to us.
I'll start.
Yeah. What comes up for you as you?
My nephew,
Yeah.
Titus.
Yeah.
We were very lucky this Christmas that my brother and his kids and grandkids came. We have babies around for the first time in a long time. But he's 15 and he's a teenager. They ain't got the time. They ain't got time for this all day, all day, all day. So my mother, they live in High Point, North Carolina. So in Greensboro is where they had the first sit-in at the Walgreens. So she has this tapestry of the original members of the original city. You know, one had on his ROTC uniform, they were students from North Carolina A&T. So she has this tapestry on the wall, so I'm going to take them to the airport. So I was like, Titus, let me take you a picture. So little boys, we put my hood up and look neat, because that's what they do, you know, along with 30-minute showers and all that stuff. So he's standing in front of this tapestry. So when I went back and looked at my pictures, he's looking like a boxer in training. And then those 4 men rested on his shoulder. So I call that the weight, because those men who started that sit-in and created a sit-in movement have started that for him. Now he's carrying the weight of that journey on his shoulders. So you have to get really close, but you can see 2 of those men sitting on his shoulders. And it's kind of discovered, you know, with the gold and the ripped paper, he's kind of, depends on how you look at it. Is he fighting through that or is he getting lost in it?
What I love about your work is that it's sort of an emotional looking glass. We
Yeah.
start to see ourselves. So what has come up for you all, even in the few minutes that we just took to breathe in and breathe out and allow the looking glass to speak to us? What comes up immediately for y'all?
This one, if you have the time, I have the story.
Come on, I got the time.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Well, that's what she's saying.
Oh yeah, you got the time, I got the story. Oh, I thought you were gonna tell me something.
No.
I love that, yes.
Worn out, yeah.
I was gonna say something like that. Knowing Sandy, knowing how long she has worked, and knowing that now she has moved to be with her daughter and her family, and to realize that was Sandy. Because when I saw it, I thought it was Sandy, but she looked so tired. And I thought maybe it's like a relative, you found something in an archive, and since it was somebody that you knew and loved, that's why you used the image. I just didn't realize it really was Sandy.
Yeah.
Because she just looked so
Exhausted.
exhausted.
And that is a collective exhaustion that she is
Exactly, it's that deep breath.
emanating.
Right, product of American South, made in the USA, and then the image underneath through all the tatters is the singular image where I'm just kind of taking a breath, you know, so yeah, it is, it was one of those days, Sandy came by and.
Well, I think you said the same thing for the guy too.
Yeah.
I mean, collectively tired.
Collectively tired.
The whole,
Yeah.
thing that's going on.
Yeah. Even at his age.
Yeah.
Anybody else notice any feelings? Yes, Mercedes.
Well, I chose the word behind you, and for me, she started to become pretty, so like I could see her, almost like a hologram, like I felt like it started looking more like a person, and so I didn't get to talk to her and everything, because it was just a quick breath, but that's what I started seeing.
Yeah.
So,
Three-dimensional.
it says House Negro, so, obviously it's a connection, with slavery, and Tia is biracial. But I tend to use the nickel. Shout out to Sally Hemings, you know, you were still owned, even though you may have felt you were the queen of the plantation, you were still owned. And so, all men are created equal, had his own dirty deeds and his own lot of slaves. And so, this is one of few, I have three white ironing boards. This one and this one, so like finding a white ironing board is like a graffiti artist finding a white train. You know, it just doesn't happen, so. This is probably the most simplistic, but the way she's looking at you,
Right.
you know, and this one says house nigger, the other one says concubine. You know, so they're trying to reflect off of each other.
You know, I'm like an excavation nut, so I'm very interested in the way the works present themselves as a sort of unearthing or a forgotten past.
Yeah.
And the physicality of them bring them to the present, so it's
Yeah.
sort of trans-historical.
Yeah.
So I'm just very interested in like all of the marks that are left, all of the things that are present, the reuse of the cotton and reiteration of it. And I'm kind of looking at the walls behind it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. Is that towel? Is that towel on?
It was on there. It was, that towel and this board, that's not me. That's how I got it.
So, Lovey, what do you remember as you're excavating these forgotten images of the past? Like, what are you remembering?
So, as you said, remember putting things back together.
Yeah, reattaching.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about, woo! There's a burn on my arm here. And one day when I was about 5, my sister and I were playing in the kitchen. Tomorrow is our 10th year anniversary of her death. And we're playing, and the iron had been unplugged for maybe 15 minutes or so.
But that don't mean nothing.
Not then, not iron.
That cotton cord.
No, I was gonna say, that thing's still hot.
And she put it on my arm, and I screamed. She was like, "Girl, quit playing." And I was like, "No, you're burning me." She moved it. I had a huge scar. The scar's there.
Wow.
It was been there forever.
Wow.
So like literally, until you said remember, it hadn't even dawned on me that. But then, you know, thinking about etymology and the way you play with ironic and iron being the root word.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody else noticed that. I don't know if that was your intention.
Yes.
But just said simple. I remember you sent out a group text.
Yeah.
We were like, and we're all like, you need nothing more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Iron.
So yeah, just celebrating the layers of
The layers,
The depth
yeah.
and the layers.
from this sort of miserable pain and
Yeah, and I did think of you, sis, especially with these two. Because my intention was to strip them down, but when I cut it, it's so
It's the
many
fine
layers.
things. It's the fine
It's
things.
so many layers. If you get close to it, you see all the layers. This one is called Layered Existence. It's so many layers that I just couldn't mess with it anymore because that told such a story. And inside, it's another image of Sandy printed on rock cotton. And then those are literally plantation cotton stalks. So those tell their own story. And this one, you know, for his protection, this woman did this backbreaking work to protect him in his life. Even though she probably wasn't there a lot of the time to help raise him, but she still protected him. So those layers really tell their own story.
You know, and one of the things that stands out for me is that cotton is one of the highest vibrational frequency fabrics. Actually, synthetic fabrics have a very low frequency. They have the same frequency as a corpse, actually. But cotton has the same frequency as an alkalized body. And so dealing with cotton and seeing cotton and touching cotton and being able to engage it is at the same time as it is a reminder of the legacy of the African American relationship to cotton. It's also a way to kind of raise your vibration and understand that even in enslavement or even underneath oppression, Black women have always possessed a freedom that flew in the defiance of their circumstances, right? And so, if I'm passing by, the layered existence every day in my house, what do you hope I will be inspired to practically do? Like, how do you hope this work will inspire, like, engagement and direct practical action in the world?
Your blues ain't like her blues. So whatever you're going through ain't nothing compared to what she went through. You notice it says breeder, right? Was part of her existence.
In 1619.
Right, 1619 breeder. That meant she was forced to make babies, and have babies. That cotton, adding cotton to anything, especially this is real cotton.
I
It's
see.
gonna tell us something.
Yeah.
I love saying this, but a white lady picks cotton for me, and I thoroughly enjoy saying
Oh, that's
it.
reparation. Is that reparation? Is that a form of reparation?
I just thoroughly enjoy
If
saying
she
it.
picked cotton and gave it to you with like $100 bill.
She be so excited. I got some cotton for you, come here. I just enjoy saying that. And she gives me boxes of cotton every year. I gave them away. I get some. You still got a box of cotton?
I need a box.
I got you. I got you.
Oh, that's why I'm gonna come to your house with a bin. Like, yeah, I'm here.
Jumpers in my bags.
I'm gonna get some white lady cotton and some portraits on leaves.
But, that's a story I don't need to retell because it tells its own story. Just see. My mother has a vase of cotton at home that I grew up with. She still has it. The cotton stalks with the.
Yeah, the first time I saw cotton as a decor item was in Ryan Dennis's house. It was right in her front entryway, so that you don't have any excuse but to see it and remember before you enter into her house.
Yeah, and when you leave.
And when you leave, that's right.
Yeah, but I think, if this is in your home, she's speaking for you. Your day cannot be nearly as rough as her lifetime of existence.
So there's a sense of gratitude that we can absorb from her story as we understand how far we have come. We can also pull from her strength and resilience and her innate freedom as we navigate the current challenges that we have.
As we should. And as we were talking about earlier, that's being pulled out of schools. You got school-age kids. You got school-age kids. So art teachers are the new history teachers. We can manage to keep it in the classroom and tell what needs to be told.
So what's the relationship, and now I'm talking to Professor Ann, so put your
Okay.
hat on real quick.
All right.
What is the relationship between
Take the vest out.
African diasporic healing and creating art that returns us to our legacy? What's the relationship between healing and this type of exploration?
That's a tough one.
I should have texted
You
you.
threw that. The healing and exploration for me runs together because I can heal through its form. I can have a talk, even though that's my friend Sandy. That's a lot of women, right? And with the cotton, even though that's my nephew, whose name is Olin, by the way, little Olin. It's my dad's name. He's little Olin.
So we got a little older and a little Ann over there.
Little older,
I love
little
that.
yeah. Lost my train of thought.
Your relationship with exploration, your own. What has personally healed for you in this collection, in this particular round?
I don't know if we are, or if I am totally healed.
Healing is a process.
It's traumatic when you start dealing with your history. The ones with the cotton are history. This is more about a Black woman's mental health, firm. We have assumptions that we're always the strong ones. We don't get rattled or we're sassy and our emotions don't exist. But we deal with mental health issues as well. you know, which is why this is on the firm board. So I think each exploration, my work has always been like that, I guess. My work has always kind of explored through history. I didn't think my work was that traumatic until I did an artist talk in Tennessee State, and the young man said, well, how do you deal with this traumatic work and the healing? And I was like, is it that traumatic? Because I guess because I'm a teacher, I think of things as a history lesson. You know, so.
Well, and I appreciate that revealing the trauma with the capital T is the first step in exploring the areas that are healing as we explore it. And then being able to dismantle the symptoms of the trauma and the trauma response in order to find a path to a real resolution.
Yeah.
You know, so I appreciate that your work gives me permission to acknowledge and admit some of the things that I've been struggling with, and that permission then permits me to go on the journey of healing.
That's all I could ever ask for. I mean, everybody's gonna receive things differently. You know, some people will look at it, won't like what they're looking at, but if they look into it, something may reveal itself to them.
Artists suffer so we don't have to. Can I get an amen?
You get a t-shirt.
So what else would you want someone to know as they were considering the culture of their home, the culture of their space, and how any of these pieces would contribute to their personal culture? What would you want them to know about, like, your intentions, the energy that you are transferring?
Well, it depends, because there's different levels of collecting. Some people collect because they like a particular genre. Some people collect purely on investment. You know, they might not, probably can't stand Basquiat, but I can afford to get it. If I resell it, I'm set for life. So it's hard to say. Depends on the collector. I know this particular collector loves printmaking, and we've had extensive conversations about printmaking as a process. And now he's more interested in the content of it. He was talking to me about my printmaking process today, and I'm a very raggedy printmaker. I don't follow the rules. I just, you know, delete it, won't let me touch it. Yeah,
Improvisation.
I was like, can we expand the language, because Brady on point. So I produced a documentary on Ann, and she showed me her process. It's pioneering.
Okay.
But
Okay,
not
I'll
raggedy.
I'll take that.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you're hacking through uncharted territory, right?
Improvisation, I like that. Yeah.
Using
It's that.
dehydrators and
Yeah.
her own pressing and all
Yeah.
kinds of I feel like I was in like a mashup between like Wakanda and the Jetsons. You know what I'm saying? Like she was doing stuff in 2013 that like went out yet.
Yeah. I do feel like that though, especially when I did a Conversational Talk when it was in Austin. And it was in Austin, it was at Deborah Colton, it was at the Collective. It started with coal. When we did coal, and I had this tree with, you know, all those images on it. Then as that continued to grow, I had trigger words on the tree. Now this was 2016, 2015, 2016. Some of those words, one was Trump, TRUMPED, SCOTUS, Supreme Court, Obama, voting, Tamir, Sandra. I mean, a lot of things that we are traumatically dealing with now or recovering from were on that tree. So sometimes I do startle myself. I'm like, ooh, I thought about that 5, 6, 7 years ago, you know? So yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, Elder Jean Denver, who is she is now an ancestor.
Yeah.
She wore these buttons on her hat, and each button had a word or a phrase on it that supported Black health, healing, and she called her buttons confrontational therapy. Because whatever comes up in you,
Yeah,
when you see these buttons,
yeah.
she was like, that's your therapy, and it's for free, what she used to say. I just gave you a free therapy session.
She sure did.
You
She
know?
gave us where the sun shines.
And I feel like your work continues in the lineage of being confrontationally therapeutic because of what we are confronting even as we admire the beauty and the mastery and the printmaking and the techniques, and all of that is our vehicles that are guiding us on this journey of therapeutically confronting our trauma and transmuting it into joy, you know? And so I just want to thank you for suffering
I mean, you
so that we don't have to.
Put that in my next artist.
Put it in there, girl, put it in there. You know, and so the last thing I want to do is invite everyone here, either a word or a phrase of verbal flowers to give Ann Johnson. Can we just go around and give Ann Johnson her flowers or her cotton real quick? Okay, let's give her her cotton real quick. Anyone can start, but just a word or a phrase.
Flourish.
Flourish.
Strength.
Dope, strength. But the dope is African American vernacular English for intoxicatingly wonderful.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't be scarred.
I was gonna say, historic is the first word that came to my mind. Let me use
I
that.
have my historic shirt on today.
Historic.
Women's History Month, honoring the greats.
And then we'll just put Ann, just like
Put
Ann.
Everyone.
Yeah,
I'll say unconventional for that and earlier when you were talking about the process.
yeah. And the conventional approach ain't working no way, so we need to be unconventional.
I just think she's spiritually inspired.
And spiritually.
Because the faces, I noticed this one doesn't have cotton, but all the ones that have cotton complements the spirit of the face that's with it. And to do that, that's very special.
So has it
And
been?
she's accomplished that.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything spiritual is designed to reunite you with your loving source.
Yeah.
And that's what this work does. It really does reunite us with our loving source.
And just to see the growth from, listen, because I was there from the beginning with the feet painting.
He go back to soul
The
sister.
Yeah,
The
so
origin, root of
it's
soul
just,
sister.
it's awesome to see. That's why I use the word dope, because that was like one of our buzzwords back when we were in college together. With the whole law thing and all that, but it's inspiring to see the growth from 88 to
Yeah.
23.
From soul to soul.
So that was the name of my first show. My first
I wasn't trying to do that, I'm just saying, well, I'm that old too.
We called ourselves the Potential Posse.
The potential posse. Me. I will go to a potential posse show tonight. Y'all want to get something together.
And the queens of what?
No.
Queens of what?
I'm trying to disassociate it.
The queens of creativity. We've expanded, okay.
And Club Flavor was our fashion, because we were
Club
living
Flavor.
single, Flavor magazine.
Oh.
It would have to do with
We had it all. We had it all.
we were flawed.
I'm gonna tell y'all, I majored in journalism because I wanted to be Khadijah, so.
That's right.
Never underestimate the impact of living single on the culture.
Okay, Flavor, you knew.
What kind of flowers would you like to give in?
So one of my favorite definitions of art is the conceptualists, and that art's an idea, and the artist needs to express the idea, so they need to choose the language and learn how to speak the language. So the word I would say is you're very articulate. You speak very well with this word.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Tracy J.
Come on in, ladies, we're giving Ann her cotton.
Okay.
It's the time.
Okay, I'm not gonna knock
Upgrade to
you
giving her her flowers. So feel free to just jump right in.
Okay, oh, Lord, watch the Lord, watching the Lord.
You break your back, Tracy.
Ah! Wait, did you take a
There are arguments, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I got this one here. I appreciate the love. Yeah, I do.
Well, we appreciate you loving us enough to be daring to invest your time, talent, and energy into artwork that helps us to feel seen and helps us to remember the inherent value
Yeah.
that we possess, not specific to Black women, and if it works for Black women, it works for everybody.
That's right.
So what you're doing is, as you explore and validate and encourage Black women to reclaim the power, the genius, the value, the permission to be soft, you also help anyone who's experienced any kind of oppression to reclaim their value and give them permission to remember or reattach their genius and their true contributions to themselves.
I appreciate that.
Y'all join me in celebrating Professor, Master Printmaker, Writer, Fashion Icon, Accessory Curator, and Salt Pepper Enthusiast. I'll put this back to y'all.
Oh, I'd like to thank Danielle
Please.
and Anne. Please see her installation at Project Roadhouses, and once again, thank you. And this show is, I
didn't think I was gonna make it.
I know, she kept
Oh, no,
saying that.
girl, I don't know.
But, and thank you all for coming, we really do appreciate it, but please mingle laughter, and we still have some brunch bites.
Right. And thank you to the Hooks-Epstein Galleries for your
Yes.
historic and sustaining presence and liberating the work in the arts
Yes.
culture. Thank you
Yeah,
so
so
much.
it definitely would not have, been done if it wasn't for Jerry Hooks, because
Yes.
when she founded the gallery, back in 1969, she really wanted to put, over the years, an emphasis on giving a platform to artists of color and sharing their voices. So, and that was something that really inspired me when I started working with her, so,
She was right.
yes. Props to Jerry, and
Yes.
she's drinking a martini, so
Yes.
thank you all once
Cheers.
again.
Thank you all for spending Saturday with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.